Global media cultures. Introducing the reporters, Avril Hariel, Joshua Fashal, and Celeste Gaabon. List of content presentation. 1. Evolution of media and globalization. 2. Cultural globalization processes. 3. Globalization of culture and media. And lastly, the cultural imperialism theory. A pleasant evening for everybody. Today, I am about to tackle to you kung unsa ba ang global media cultures. Global media cultures. But first, what is media and culture? Ato sang i-define unsa ang media ug culture. So, media stands for mass communication, and example sa media kay broadcasting, publishing, or para dali isang internet mismo ang media where we get information. Culture naman, on the other hand, kay our way of living or kanang civilization of a social we're living. Globalization is characterized as an arrangement of various, uneven, and time-covering verifiable procedures, including financial aspects, governmental issues, and culture. So, the global media culture, the word global itself, speaks up for globalization, and kabalo naman ta na globalization stands for economic, political, and cultural development over time. In the 1920s, the plural-shaped media came into general flow, but then sooner the people were more into broad communications, just like books, radios, and films. In the 1920s, the media came into general flow, but later on, mas naging broader pa yung ways ng media. Why? Kasi people became innovative in any possible ways. Mo ang reason na slowly nagkaroon ng books, radios, and films. Harvard, 2007, stated in a study that media plays an important impact on cultural globalization. Harvard in 2007, siya nag-state mismo nga nung importante man kayong media within globalization. 1. Media provides an extensive transnational transmission of cultural products. 2. It contributes to the formation of communicative network and social structures. The first one, through media kay we were able to transmit products sa mga bigger companies across the globe. Examples were books, CDs, films, paintings, and many more. The second one naman is it refers the importance for us to be able to create an effective way sa socializing mismo and communication. As the media products increases from time to time, it presents cultural challenges, either local or national. There were demand issues with the fast-growing volume of media within its technological infrastructures and supplies, and it does affect local patterns of cultural consumption and possibilities for sustaining an independent cultural production. This simply means na as the time goes by, ga-increase and innovations in terms of media na from time to time na bag-o na form or ways sa media. So, by that naga-increase sad ang demands tungod sa mga infrastructures ug supplies na needed to attain such developments. Di pud ma-deny na maka-encounter og issues and challenges. Social trade of social aspects could be in our characters, religions, nationality, behavior standards, and lifestyle. Social experiences like gatherings or different society, a transnational and national. Through media and socialization, we could simply adapt and influence food either sa way of living nato, behaviors, or with our beliefs. Pwede ta maka-impluwensya sa uban and pwede pud ta maka-adapt og learning and development from them. And now, Ms. Celeste Gaabon will talk about the evolution of media and globalization.
I am Celeste Gaabon, and I'm here to talk all about the 5 evolutions of media and globalization. First is oral communication. Oral communication is communicating with spoken words. It's a verbal form of communication where you communicate your thoughts, present ideas, and share information. Second is script. Script allowed humans to communicate and share knowledge and ideas over much larger spaces and across much longer times. Early writing systems began to appear after 3000 BCE, with symbols carved into clay tablets to keep account of trade. Third is printing press. All histories of media and globalization acknowledge the consequential role of the printing press. It is a machine by which text and images are transferred from movable type of paper or other media by means of ink. Fourth is electronic media. It refers to any equipment or tool used in communication that require electromagnetic energy or electricity. Examples of these are telegraph, telephone, radio, film, and television. The vast reach of these electronic media continues to open up new avenues in the economic, political, and processes of globalization. And last but not the least is digital media. These are the most often electronic media that rely on digital codes, the long hidden combinations of O's and ones that represent information. Digital media shares access to information around the globe, allows people to adopt new practices in music, sport, education, religion, fashion, cuisine, the arts, and other realms of culture.
Hello, everybody. I am Josh, and I'll be explaining the cultural globalization processes. So, there are four topics to discuss, starting with the experience of modernity in a worldwide culture, socialization and the development of cultural character, and mediated communities and activity, and lastly is the democracy and political culture. So let's start with the experience of modernity in a worldwide culture. So the chief element in the analysis of the experience of modernity is both a general form of mentality and a mode of artistic production is the loosening of time and space from the bonds of locality and tradition. Next is one effect of high modernity is the dissociation of cultural and social activity from local constraints, meaning na beliefs or activities nga gina-practice sa certain local nga kato nga mga activities is na-spread na sa lain na mga places or mga neighbor na local tungod kinawala na ang local na constraints as effects sa high modernity. Social institutions like the family, educational system, arts, political, and the mode of industrial system have all been influenced by transnational networks and institutions. There is a difference in experience of advancement among groups of people, and those who are accomplished in financially advantaged living in industrialized locals of the world, and migrants and the third world. Meaning is laylay atong ka-experience na advancement compared sa mga financially advantaged na mga locals and compared pod sa mga dayo which is kitong mga migrants and also like pod sa third world country which is kita, the Philippines. This media plays a great part in cultural homogenization and separation. And this division will be a focal component in the investigation of social globalization. So let's proceed to socialization and the development of cultural character. Media becomes a free organization for socialization and improvement of social character, given na nata sa digitalized na era. So, easy ra kayo ma-pass on ang infos. Also, dali ra kayo mag-build up sa character. Dali ra mo sikat or mo viral tungod kay easy na lang or free access na lang ang social communication. Next is the global media culture signifies a cultural otherness, a treat to tradition and autonomy. And global media often contribute to advance of local culture, carrying them into interaction and on par with the reality of globalized modernism. Here comes mediated communities and activity. Media and correspondence advances as a rule have encouraged the arrangement of aggregate groups. They have likewise made conceivable, informative, and social activity crosswise over time. Music fun clubs, internet talk bunches, and so forth have been observed. This expanded medialization of social affects how communication happens in such groups. Specifically, cooperation go up against a more dynamic and representative character when contrasted with those occurring in social circumstances with non-intervened relational experiences. Last is the democracy and political culture. An imperative result of globalization is the development of multicultural social orders, in which individuals of various social foundations, like ethnic, religious, and so on, must coincide. About some multicultural social, these are people with different races, ethnicities, and nationalities living together in the same community. The fact that individual social gatherings may keep up their own dialect, culture, and customs, the diverse gatherings in a multicultural society are obliged to manage their shared collective issues in a typical political open circle. This has now and again bothered the inconsistency between a general origination of majority rule system, social equality, and obligations from one perspective. So the globalization of culture and media, I'll be stating some definitions, and this will be explained later by my group mate Celeste. So, media, the main means of mass communication, and the cultural differentialism is the diversion of culture. Cultural hybridity is the effort to maintain a sense of balance among practices, values, and customs of two or more different cultures. And cultural convergence is distant cultures are able to influence one another.
Now, there are three outcomes to consider the influence of globalization to culture. First is cultural differentialism. Cultural differentialism suggests that cultures are different, strong, and resilient. Distinctive cultures will endure despite globalization and the global reach of American or Western cultural forms. Cultures are destined to clash as globalization continuously brings them together. Second is cultural hybridity. Cultural hybridity constitutes the effort to maintain a sense of balance among practices, values, and customs of two or more different cultures. This ensures that globalization will bring about an increasing blend or mixtures of cultures. This combination will result to the creation of new and surprising cultural forms. And third is cultural convergence. Cultural convergence is when stories flows across several kinds of media platforms and when readers or viewers can comment on, alter, or otherwise talk back to culture. Global convergence is when geographically distant cultures are able to influence one another.
Cultural imperialism theory. This theory suggests that audiences were greatly influenced by media messages coming from Western industrialized countries. There were influences that became important, and that is the argument that international communication flows, process, and effects that flows through power. The finish of Cold War as a worldwide system for ideological rivalry, geopolitical rivalry, and financial rivalry. The finish of Cold War introduced a period of many-sided quality between the worldwide powers, of union and nearby responses of dispersal. In 1991, United States became the world's sole power. Social colonialism, indicated by John Tomlinson in 1991. Globalization displays social colonialism since its past procedures with less rationality and bearing. Globalization is developed as a key perspective over humanities and social sciences. Globalization of culture referring to cultural imperialism, it has been very meaningful within its impact and media cultures. And we have now come to the end of our presentation.